Hello, everybody. Welcome to Merely Surviving to Successful Thriving. This is Diane and Jen, and we have a beautiful new guest with us today to talk about something. Her name is Charlotte, and she is an entrepreneur founding Breaking Barriers Together, life coach, and a relationship empowerment coach. She's been in 12 steps, a 12-step program for 38 years, married for 33 years, and a mom. And I wanted to welcome Charlotte with us today. She's going to talk about her topic of awakening your value. And here is Charlotte.
Hi, everybody. I'm so thankful to be here. These two women have been such an inspiration and empowerment to me through their journeys. Um, I started to realize that I wasn't valuing myself. I didn't have value in my own life. I love doing it for other people, and I had this why bother mentality when it came to me. And so, I had to start diving in within myself and finding my worth and finding why, my why, and it started to inspire me. I saw a picture of myself when I was about 4 years old, uninhibited, jumping out of a pool, big expression, like fearless, right? Full of joy, haven't been, harmed by anything or anyone yet, and, life's pressures. And I saw that picture and I said, wow, I owe it to her. I owe it to her. And that started my inspiration going. Because I just didn't know how to, I didn't know how to value myself. I was a stay-at-home mom. My children were active in their activities and taking them there and running the household and, cleaning, doing the meals, having family and friends over. And, I would look out to other women doing it and I think, wow, how do they do all that? And I was doing it, but I had no value in what I was doing. I couldn't see it, and I knew how, like, some of the hardships and stuff, and I wasn't doing it right or perfect, so I didn't count, and then I started to not count in their life. Became they were more important than getting what they needed done, and I was good with that. I was okay with that. But there came a point where I just started that gnawing inside me, like, what about you? What do you want to do? And I got into this cycle, like I would start to get inspired and I go, why bother? Like, I have a good enough life. Like, things are good enough. But there was that in me, that desire, and I didn't know how to tap in it for me. I could do it for you. I could do it for others. And, I had to start doing it for me, and start seeing there was value in everything I was doing. Because I could see it with everybody else. I could see the value. And I started to have to awaken that value in me, and awaken to everything I was doing and pay attention. Like, pay attention in my life. Because I was in the routine. People would pass me by, wouldn't even see them, And I just had to, awaken that, and looking in the eyes of others, but more importantly, looking in the eyes of myself. And that was a hard thing to do, because I look in the mirror and just like quick to fix myself, but I never looked into my eyes, and I wasn't seeing me for who I was and what I was worth, and I had to start doing it, and it started with, taking those moments in the mirror and looking into my eyes and saying, you're worth it. And giving myself a hug. I call it the hug of love, right? Oh, and looking in the mirror and saying, I love you. I was telling other people to do that, but I wasn't doing it for myself until somebody said, do you do this yourself? And I was like, you know what, I don't. And I started to. And I realized how uncomfortable that was. That was so uncomfortable for me to do, to acknowledge myself and start building my own worth and seeing that I had value and everything I was doing had value. You know, going to the supermarket, there was value in that. I was running into people. There was value in saying hello to somebody, even to say excuse me to somebody. You know, there's value in our lives, in who we are, you know, in the right here, right now, in the little mundane things that we do.
That's awesome.
I have to say, like, I can relate so much to you and to your story, and I haven't even come as far as you in this path. I was an at-home mother pretty much my whole life. Little part-time jobs here and there. My self-worth was always in the toilet. I was a people pleaser. I did everything to try and make everybody else happy. And in hindsight, without me being happy, was I really making everybody happy? You know, I deprived myself of a good life for a lot of years. I really did. And I used to make these goals for myself that were unobtainable. And then I would fail. And then it would make me feel worse. Because I almost think it was easier for me to make it like that, because it would almost be scary for me to set small goals and to start accomplishing things. Because if I set small goals and accomplish things, then I know things are going to have to change. Because things for me in my life were not good. And like major changes needed to be taken care of. I'm starting to do that today. You know, I've been able to see myself for who I am and start taking care of myself as a woman, and me loving myself today. You know, I take better care of myself physically, mentally. I eat healthy. I have a very healthy relationship with the Lord, and He's my rock through all of this. I mean, like, I have my girls, but He's always been there. And even through the darkest times and when things seem hopeless, He's just there. And I pray, and I say this all the time too, I never pray for Him to take my problems away. I just pray for Him to walk me through it, because I know that I have to go through all these things to get where I'm trying to go. And it's been beautiful. And in my life today, He's blessed me more in the last few months than I ever thought would be. It's blowing my mind, the blessings that have come my way. And it's all with, you know, I feel better about myself. I'm confident. I'm a better mother today. I could show my daughter some good direction today. You know, I'm able to work. I'm able to support myself. Well, not at this very second, because I just had knee replacement surgery. But I'm doing good with that too. You know, in my therapy, I'm walking faster than the doctor thought was possible. I'm getting ready to move. Like, all these things are possible because of the value I have in myself today. Because if I wasn't taking care of myself, none of this would be possible for me. I was like a shell of a human being. And I talk about it too. I said, I'm moving into a place that has this big, beautiful kitchen. And I've been turned off by the whole cooking thing. Because, you know, for so many years, even in my house, if it was just to make spaghetti, that should be, to me, pasta should be one of the easiest things that you have to make. Well, my daughter likes meat sauce. My husband wants meatballs. My son doesn't like sauce at all, so he wants butter. Half the family likes rigatoni pasta. The other half wants spaghetti pasta. You know, like, even pasta wasn't simple. And to just keep doing these things over and over and over again and making all these different things, once in a blue moon getting a thank you, most of the time not, it wears on you as a person. Like, for years, you know, I do the laundry, I clean the house, I get ready to go to bed, I wake up the next morning, there's more laundry, there's more to clean. It was a non-stop, thankless job. I never took time for myself. You know, even here's another one. The one thing I used to do for myself was get my nails done. And then my husband would tell me, I'll give you some extra money so you could take Paige with you, our daughter, to get. I was like, the one thing that I have for myself, because nobody even could care less what I needed, you know? And I never explained what I needed, because I just got used to taking this life and what was dealt to me and never did anything about it, never stood up, but I stand up for myself today. I set healthy boundaries for myself today. People that are treating me unacceptable, I'm not dealing with it anymore. And you know what? Charlotte gave me the best message the other day when I was going through something. She said, all you have to say is no. No. 2 little letters, no. And I'm like, you know what? I do know this, but I couldn't get there. And that's why this is so important too, us women having each other, so that when we're struggling and we don't know what to do, we have someone that says, just say no. And that was simple. That's what I did. No, done. And I don't know, I just feel super blessed. And what do you think about this, Diane?
I'm thinking a lot of things. There's a little bit of an echo, so I'm going to try my best to keep it at a minimum. So she's a mutual friend and confidant for us and Charlotte here. And, you know, I think I did a TikTok about it, like when you're frustrated about something, drive down the highway with your windows closed and scream your effing head off, you know, and like just little things like that to get my feelings out without hurting somebody or myself. Because in relationships, it's really hard, you know. I react, or I do a lot more acting today than reacting than I used to. But you know, in this other fellowship that I go to, it talks about becoming an actor rather than a reactor. That's like one of the promises. Like I become an actor rather than a reactor. So I act on my own behalf a little bit more easier today than I did even yesterday or the day before, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It just comes more natural to act on my own behalf now. And I have a therapist, and she said to me, "You're like and it almost like it was an insult when she said it. She said, "You're like the epitome of self-care." And I'm like, "That's a narcissist, isn't it?" She goes, "No." She goes, you know what to do to help yourself so that you can be a better person. Like you're working out in the morning, my healthy eating, my time in the morning with God, prayer, meditation, you know, listening to God is meditation, talking to God is prayer to me. That's just to me. And I, in the beginning, a while back in this journey, I never listened. I always just pray. And it wasn't even prayers. It was like begging for somebody to do something for me that like to me it was an unattainable thing. Like God was up there, sitting up in the clouds with a big old beard and a white like robe. You know what I mean? And he wasn't coming down and saving me. Like that's where I was at. And I learned that the more I breathe and listen, the more I hear. And it's not hearing really through the ears, but it's like through the heart. And I hear messages and like God, like I always tell some people that I try to help, God doesn't speak English. Like he's translated by feelings and through other people, and how one certain decision or thing that you do will make you feel. Like, you know, I like to, you know, to say that I think about that before, think it through, like to think about that before I do it. And you know, that I try to pay attention to that and honor that within myself now, so that I can act instead of react, because I don't want to react to anything or anyone or any circumstance, person, place, thing, job, anything out of fear. Like I refuse to do things out of fear today. I refuse. Like it can't be out of fear. I mean, I'm trying to think both with my head and my heart together simultaneously, or like pay attention to both rather than just what my head is saying, because there's still a wounded kid in there. She still wants what she still wants to, you know what I mean? Like be rescued or rescue someone else and all that stuff, and that's going to make her okay. So I have to pay attention to that and honor her without taking an action that's going to hurt her.
Yeah.
So, but Charlotte, with your experience and expertise and helping people find the best in each other, I mean, how did you do it? Like, how would you tell someone to, in a relationship, whether it's romantic or not, how to harmonize with another person when you know they're harming you? Like, like
Oh, when they're
how do you
harming
do
you?
it? Yeah, like, well, it may not be, it may not be, it could be real or imagined, but like the person feels like they're being harmed. And like, how do you, and I don't mean in a
Okay,
physical
so
way.
not necessarily
Yeah,
physically or
right, no.
okay,
But I
okay,
mean, like,
just in
so,
interactions,
yeah,
interactions and stuff,
yeah,
and not being heard and
right,
or being ignored or
yeah,
just mistreated in other
yeah,
ways. Yeah. Well, it depends. If I was working individually, just like with the individual, not as a couple, would be be different. But the one thing is to, build up that self-respect first, and honoring and valuing yourself, right? So, in doing that, will give you the confidence to communicate with the person, right? And to communicate clearly and be, on one hand like that, to, you know, and if the spouse isn't, or the other person, whether the friendship or whatever, doesn't really respond or kind of ignores your request or thinks, I don't know what you're talking about, and pulls that route. I would, depending on the situation, I have different approaches, but I would also, you got to bring in the power of God. You have to bring in the power of God. And I have seen miracles. This one couple I worked with, and it was, he was kind of out there, but, and she was ready to leave. And we worked together, and with the power of God and prayer, and she had to bring prayer into the relationship, that even like when he was sleeping, she was like laying hands on him and praying. I mean, there was a lot more to it than that, but, because my relationship, when I got married, we like pushed each other's buttons. We did not know how to be in a relationship, a working relationship. And I was like, I want it my way. He wanted it his way. We didn't understand. I never felt so lonely at that point. Like I felt loneliness. And I'm like, I'm married. I shouldn't be feeling that. And it started stirring up a lot of anger. And I didn't know how to communicate. We didn't know how to communicate. And it was not good. But we got to a point where we knew both of us didn't want to live this way anymore. But we really didn't want to get a divorce. And we really didn't know how to go about it. And so, we were like, well, let's bring it to God. Like I would bring my stuff to God. He would bring his stuff. But let's together go to God. And it was slow. I had to learn I didn't have to have the last word. I had to shut up sometimes. Where my words were going to be instigating, where my words weren't going to be what I wanted to say, right? It was sarcastic or harmful. That's what I mean when I had to shut up. I had to shut up that. I had to stop thinking that, he was my enemy and against me, and find ways to, how do you come together? Where is the mutual, find the mutual space? And I mean, we're just very fortunate, and we both grew, and we have today, like I'm so glad I didn't give up and walk out. I mean, and he turned into a man I would never even, like, beyond what I would have thought a man in a relationship could be. I mean, he's so loving and helpful, and, just shows up for me. And, it's all gratitude and thanksgiving to God. But he was willing, and I was willing, to change and show up, even when, when I really don't feel like doing something for him, doing it just because I can, and he asked, and not keep tallies. Well, you didn't do this, so I'm not doing that, because that was big in our early relationship. So, anyway, I mean, I would have to see the individuals, see the circumstances, but the most thing is the individuals have to build their own self-respect, give them self-honor, and, and value that their feelings, their thoughts,
Mhm.
need to be expressed and heard, and they're just as important in the relationship as the other person.
Yeah.
And it's okay to disagree and still honor each other,
Yeah.
or respect each other.
Mhm.
I don't know if that answered.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I understand. It's really um, relationships are hard.
Yes.
And when you were talking about awakening your value, I agree with that. Like if we were just talking about this yesterday, or the other day, or something about going to the supermarket and picking up this and this and this, and then going home, and I had to, take a shower, and I had to put something together, like like for some reason, the things that I do for myself that no one else is involved in, I tend to negate or devalue. Like yesterday, I went on YouTube and I learned how to use my sewing machine all over again. It's been like 15 years since I threaded a sewing machine. I had to go on YouTube, relearn how to do it, and I did my I didn't. Oh, I threaded it, but I didn't put the thread in the bobbin underneath. So I had to unthread the whole thing and wind the bobbin that you put underneath. I'm like, oh shit, I have to do this now too. I forgot, you know. And then I did it, and then I have like about a dozen shirts that just don't fit me right. They fit fine here up top, but then they're hanging at the bottom because my waist is smaller, so it looks like you're wearing a baby doll dress, like a moo or something. So I'm so tired of having all these
But
freaking,
good for you for persevering with it.
So thanks, but after I was done, like all I did today was just take in a couple shirts. That's all I did, and then I went to the
Bravo.
supermarket. Like that means nothing. Like I didn't do it. I didn't. It like it's nothing to do that. Like I went food shopping. So what? You know what I mean? Like that's what you were saying. Is like there, like every little
You
thing that I
did
did.
it.
Yes, and when I was little, I have to share this, is that when I was young, I felt like such crap and despair, and like I was so like in despair all the time. I was just a scared little kid. And I remember being in school, I think high school, or maybe even before high school, but middle school. And I remember, and no one told me to do this, but something told me, think about every little thing you do and make it like a real big thing, like a real accomplishment. Like I clicked so like I wrote my name on the piece of paper for the assignment. It was really neat. Look at how good you did. Look at how nice that Diane looks on that sheet of paper. You know what I mean? And then I did something. I sharpened the pencil. Look at how good you sharpened that pencil. Now, meanwhile, I'm not paying attention to what the teacher's saying, what's going on in the class. It was like kind of like a form of dissociation, but it worked for my self-esteem. So that's just something to look at, because something in me, even as a kid, a teenager, a girl, knew that I was really, really wounded and I needed some help. And that's the way that I was able to help myself through those days that I was freaking out. And those were the very dark teenage years of my life when my mom was, losing it. And I had a cousin that was living with us, and all this craziness was going on in my house. And I think that's why it was happening. So I don't know, Jen, like, what do you do for like valuing yourself? Like, how do you, how have you done it in the past? How do you do it now?
All right. Well, in the past, I had no value for myself. So, I guess being at such a low point made it a little bit easier to start with little steps to value myself more. Um, Another thing I used to do is buy my kids things because I was riddled with guilt about the dysfunction that was going on in the family. And that was a problem too. So now, just spending quality time with my kids, I feel very important. Going to the gym, that's something that makes me feel better and, gives me more energy in the morning, and eating healthy. My meditation in the morning, that's like how I start my day. I have to be up like an hour before anybody else in the house because I need that time to like really get my head in the right space, and prepare myself for a good day. Today I make goals for myself, small ones. I have my calendar right here that has things on it, a couple little things each day that I want to take care of. And because when I would think of all the things that I needed to do, it would be so overwhelming for me that I would just say, oh, this is impossible. So I just take a couple little things a day. And then if you look at my calendar at the end of the month, I could sit back and look at it and say, look at all the things I accomplished. I went to Florida 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks after my knee surgery. Nobody thought that would be possible. And then everybody said to me, you just had knee surgery. There's no way you're going to be able to move by December 1st. I have most of my house packed. I have movers coming. I'm getting a beautiful place. I got the ball rolling with enrolling my daughter in a new school. All things that are, sometimes scary, but I'm able to accomplish stuff today. I hold my head up high. I'm walking the right path. And I don't know, my new journey, it's all like God has been leading me to this path. I know it. I have a new church to go to. It's just, I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's right where he wants me to be, right out of this insanity that's going on here. I feel so blessed that I have a chance at a new beginning, because I lived in fear for a lot of years. Fear on top of like having no self-worth. And my morals were in the toilet. I was really, like I say, a shell of a human being. I didn't know what to do, and it was terrible. And I used to be envious of other people. That's another thing we talk about, being envious of other women. I wasn't a stupid person when I was in school. I got accepted to Seton Hall University, and I chose not to go. I wanted to do hair, and I made a lot of mistakes in my life. But I also see now that everything that I went through in my life was leading me up to this moment. I had to go through all these things to get where I am today. Today, I can help other women. That's amazing, because a couple of years ago, I couldn't help myself. I was stuck in an abusive relationship. My life was a mess. I totally depended on somebody. No self-worth whatsoever. Not able to make decisions for myself. I take care of myself today. I take care of my bills today. I got a new apartment for myself today. And I'm taking care of myself. I think my thing is turning on. But
Okay.
yeah, I just feel totally blessed.
That sounds awesome. Thank you.
And you're
So,
truly both of you
yeah,
are truly an example of, living your life, being true to yourself, having value, you know.
well, you're a big part of that, my friend.
Hmm.
We get to a point, right? A point where we have to awaken that worth,
Yeah.
And I got that program together because I needed to, the same thing. Everything was fine, right? Your life was fine. Your life was fine. Like, Jen, you were doing, stay-at-home mom. You were taking care of your family. The family Sunday dinners were beautiful. Like, it was good.
Yeah.
Diane, you wanting to be a hairstylist and changing careers and you know taking care of your beautiful family, and then and the struggles that we have before we awaken that part of us that says, wait a minute, unfortunately you had tragedy for you, Jen, and that had to shake you and say, wait a minute, now it's my turn.
Yeah.
And Diane, you made the decision. Now it's my turn. I I want to do this. I'm going to do this. And look at what you've done. Like, you know? And the same thing with me. It was like I was, taking care of family members, and then finally that cleared up, and my grandkids, and it finally was like, wait a minute. I want to be doing something. And, and God intervened, and we're making our dreams come true. I was able to, get this business going, and something bigger beyond me. And, and it's funny. It's like I learn as I go around. Like I said, it's like I'm here trying to help others, and it's like I can't even do it for myself, right? It's like, what about me? What about, valuing me? And now it's like, so I'm teaching me the program that I wrote for others. It's like I'm going, it's a great journey. It's a great journey. And I love watching people grow. And
it's almost like you were, I don't know, like on a spiritually speaking, like we're not ready until we're ready. Like the student is ready. How does it go when the teacher? Wait, I forget.
The teacher appears when the student is ready.
Right. The teacher appears when the student is ready, and if the student isn't ready, the teacher never appears because.
I think sometimes the teacher does, but if the student's not ready.
Yeah. They're not going to hear. They're not even going to know they are a teacher.
Try to pull the person.
Like, get away from me, teacher.
Not going to work.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, until we surrender to the let's surrender and stop fighting with our fears, and and just surrender and allow ourselves to blossom and grow. And we use each other to help us along the way. Like, okay, we have our fears, and then we learn how to be courageous in the fear, and then we come out fearless.
Yes, it's like that saying that not even somebody said it, or it's just the truth, or whatever. Courage is not the absence of fear, but what we do in spite of it, like the action that we take with the fear there. Like there's a book from a long time ago called Feel the Fear, but Do It Anyway.
Yes.
I read that book, I think, a few times.
And so many times I feel my
sitting
heels,
in my apartment.
My heels are in the ground. People are pushing me forward. It's like, come on, people in front of me, come on. And my heels are in going, I'm just stuck in the fear. And then poof, I'm not anymore.
And then you go, and then
let it go.
Absolutely. And then Jen, what you were saying, like you don't ask God to take your problems away. You ask Him to guide you through those problems. Or I don't ask God to take my feelings away, because I used to do that. I used to be all up on that. I'd be reading like in my little studio apartment with no kids yet, sober 2 years, going, please take these feelings away. Like I wanted Him to take, and literally I want Him to take me away. Like literally I did not want to feel those feelings, because they were coming up from all over. It was like your computer getting attacked by a virus. Did you ever have your computer attacked by a virus where everything comes up all over to the point where it just crashes down?
Yeah.
And I wanted it gone. And I didn't know that I could breathe and relax. I really didn't have it. I really didn't have the capacity to do that. I really had to almost have a nervous breakdown. Like I would exercise it out. I would run to the meeting or to the place that I was going to. Let me run there, And they're like, you want to ride home? No. I run back home just to stop the thoughts. Like I couldn't stop thinking. I couldn't stop obsessing or worrying or dealing with whatever was coming at me. And I'm so glad that I had so many people, and I was in the right place at the right time in the right area. And we all are right this very moment. We're in the right place at the right time, in the right circumstances, in the right area. And the only way we're going to get to the next thing is to be here now, And that's really it. I've never learned anything by being totally content. You know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't. But I'm getting to be content now from dealing with all of the like turbulence that I had in my spirit and in my psyche. I had to deal with that. I had to experience it in order to be where I am today. I had to experience that abusive relationship. I had to experience neglect and abandonment as a kid. They didn't know it. They just were giving me what they had. They had no idea. Unaware people are unaware.
Right. Yeah.
And but I had to experience all of that stuff in order to get where I am today. And I can't believe it. I can't believe that I could sit here and talk to you people about this like it's like second nature. Like, so we should, like it's all about now and blah, blah, blah. Like, what? I would have never thought like that in the past.
Yeah.
So
I know I was always the biggest block for myself. Right?
yeah,
And I had to say, wait a minute, we're on the same team.
yeah. Everybody, we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
So I guess that will be it for today. If you guys have any further comments you want to share before we end for today for the people who are listening.
Well, you know what? I do have to say, I've gotten a lot of help in this area too, where I carried around so much anger at the things that were happening to me. When I finally got out of it and got on my own, I would still be quick to react, quick to answer back somebody that had something to say to me, because now I know I'm right and I did this, but words can hurt. So I find, like, I've learned too. It hasn't gone away yet, because as soon as I get these obnoxious phone calls that I'm still getting, I think all these things in my head and I say, oh, I feel like putting somebody on blast. But you know what? Now I at least have the thought in my mind to step back, take some time. If I think of an appropriate response, I'll send it. If I don't, what I called how many people on the weekend to walk me through something. So, you know what? I find that to even be successful, because for me to acknowledge that I was about to go popping off on somebody, to stop myself and to get on that phone when I need help, when I'm confused and when I'm hurt, and to know where to channel that to me is progress. I don't even find that to be a failure, because it could have went worse. And I get a new perspective on it. So I'm totally blessed to have you two women in my life. And that's all I wanted to add for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. We can do what I can't do alone, right?
Yep.
And we need, can't sit alone. Like, even if you're depressed or your sadness, your anger, whatever, share it, and you're worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You're worth it.
I love it. Like, you're worth it. Like, a burden shared is a burden halved or something, or lessened, and then a joy shared is joy multiplied or something. I heard. I don't know. It sounds really good, and I love it. But anyway, we just wanted to say thank you for listening to everybody. Please remember that wherever you listen to your podcasts, we're there. So iHeartMusic Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many, many more. And we were really glad to be able to share with you and talk to you about awakening your value with Charlotte. And we're so looking forward to seeing you guys again. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
For having me here. Can I throw in my plug?
Yeah, go right
Yes.
Is this okay here? All right. So I have a upcoming speaking gig on in the beginning of December. I don't have the date right now, but if anyone's interested, you can email me at charlotte@breakingbarriers-together.com, and you could just include your name, your email, and phone number in the subject, write speaking date, and if you would like a free vitality assessment, just for fun to look at regarding my 8-week Awaken Your Worth, you can do the same thing. Email me there, and in it just put assessment or assess with your name, email, and phone number, and I'd be happy to get it right out to you.
Thank you. Everybody would be so lucky to have you working with them. We love
Yep.
you all very much, and enjoy your week, and we will see you next week, and have a wonderful weekend. Please, please feel
And give
valued
yourself
because
a
you
hug.
are,
Yeah.
and give yourself a hug.
Hug of love.
All right. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.